Welcome back to Fast Market. I'm Alex Coffey, as always, here with Kevin Hanks. Kevin, not a lot to talk about in terms of movement in the overall markets. We do have a little bit of a bounce off that, I guess, down 7 to down 5.5. NASDAQ only down 33 now, but really pretty quiet day.
The phenomenon that we talked about last Friday with market up, VIX up, is almost reversing itself. Look at this right now. We've got the market down, we've got the VIX down officially, but it's down a penny.
Yeah, it's strange, but again, we've talked about the normal levels of volatility.
Welcome to summer.
In terms of averages, you said it's right around 15.5, 15.4. So we're a little bit elevated in terms of historical averages, but really not much.
Right.
So we're basically right there in terms of what we've seen that. You're also seeing a little bit of divergence in the 10-year and the 30-year bonds. You're seeing a slight move down lower in the 30-year and a move higher in the 10-year, pushing down that 10-year yield even further, 2.12 on the day. Bitcoin back over 8,000, 8205. But I'm excited about the Lululemon conversation. So.
Of course you young people are excited. Look at Jenny, she can't contain herself.
It is time for our hashtag segment. We're gonna go to that right now as we welcome in Andy Swan, co-founder of LikeFolio.com, and of course, as Kevin mentioned, we have Fast Market contributor Jenny Horn back with us as well.
Very excited to talk Lululemon today. This is a stock that has climbed 41% so far in 2019. I mean, it's a crazy success story, but also this company has sparked the athleisure trend in Nike, Adidas, Puma, Gap, L Brands, Victoria's Secret, Target. I mean, the list goes on and on. This is a company that has kind of started this athleisure trend. So Andy, my question to you is, I know they're focused on building their menswear division right now. What does that look like for LikeFolio's data?
Yeah, it's very important to the company, so we thought we'd take a look at kind of a deep dive that LikeFolio can do on specific brands or specific sectors of a company. And so when we look at Lululemon's menswear division, we look at purchase intent mentions, which is how much people are talking about actually buying the products of the Lululemon menswear division. You can see for several years it was nothing but year-over-year growth. Very good story there. And what we're starting to see this year, and especially even in the current quarter, which is just getting underway for the company, is a pretty significant slowdown in that growth for menswear sales and purchase intent mentions. So for us, it's a little bit concerning. Still, think Lululemon's a fantastic company, obviously. But it's becoming difficult for them to maintain the growth that I think investors, Wall Street, has come to expect. And that's starting to show through in the data, especially on the menswear side.
Andy, when I think of Lululemon, right, and if you were listening, we had a little conversation about this earlier. I think of a company starting out in apparel, right? That's where they hit the ground running, much like Under Armour started out in apparel, but Nike was shoes, right? But Lululemon has carved out a niche as they wear it like a badge of honor, right? We're the highest price point, we're the highest quality. So, but that's worked for them. And in Europe and in Asia, demand is off the charts for this product. So I think growth is going to be so important here. What are you guys seeing in terms of them growing? Because right now, in terms of stock float, this company is a fraction of Nike.
Yeah, this company has been a monster, and like you say, it does have a lot of upside when you compare it to some of the global apparel leaders of the world. And so, what we're saying at LikeFolio, I think, is this is a unbelievably great company. They do a very, very good job. They charge a premium price, and normally they deliver on that premium price. We're starting to see some inkling in consumer insights from our data that there's some of their lines are not living up to that premium product, the running pants and some of these kind of experimental things that they're putting out. But overall, they do a fantastic job. They have a lot of upside. I think our overall point right now is maybe that the stock has gotten a little ahead of itself, a little too far, too fast. The company's already guided to double-digit growth expectations. So there's only so much they can do. We don't really expect Lulu to miss, but we do think that there's possibility of a breather for the stock.
Andy, I want to get your take on this too. So I think of Lululemon, one thing they've executed really, really well on was really that the culture surrounding their brand and getting people excited about it, especially I'm sure on social media. But when I'm looking at your menswear purchase intent mentions here, as you're starting to see that growth kind of stabilize and maybe even come down a little bit, how much of that is maybe because of the quality of the products? Like we're seeing that with Apple, now that the phones are better, not as many, replacements are being purchased as frequently. Is that something that maybe Lululemon is kind of, almost shooting itself in the foot on, is because their product is so good?
Yeah, it could be. And I think, unlike the ladies' side of the aisle, men are probably less likely to think that they need a new outfit every single season or every single year. So I think that that's probably a little bit of the inertia that you see there. I think, look, Lululemon's going to benefit long term from charging a premium price for premium products. I think that there was a wave last year of excitement around, kind of the business casual vibe that was going throughout the business community. I think it was even Goldman Sachs and some other, big kind of stuffy firms went away from suits. So that was a movement that was, beyond just Lululemon. And I think it's tough to have your comps compared to that kind of surge in a macro trend. But, overall, it's not like this is the end of the world for Lululemon. It's still a really nice growth story. It's just maybe not what it was a year ago, which, a lot of times is what Wall Street likes to compare to.
Yeah, and a place where Lulu actually falls behind, I think, Nike, is they don't sponsor athletes. They don't have this kind of athlete-driven business because they're trying so much to be the athleisure. I don't really think they're even trying to be Nike. They're trying to be their own kind of thing, which, I have like a following with Lulu. They have like yoga classes. They have all these different experiences. They're trying to be their own brand.
All right, here's my question to you right there, though. If they did sponsor an athlete, and they are sponsoring somebody, right? Some male, would you notice? Would Jenny Horn notice?
Probably not.
Right,
but would I
exactly.
stop shopping there, or would I would probably continue spending money there
Of
no matter
course.
what. But our first tweet is from Will Hassel, who says, I think what I'm most excited about when I start my job is that Lululemon ABC pants are within dress code. I bought 5 pairs yesterday. Being at a desk has never been so comfortable. So we were laughing at this tweet actually before we came on because Alex is wearing ABC pants.
Right, and so like I kind of like almost know exactly what this Will is meaning by this tweet, because this is how I operate. I'm like, oh, I need new pants. I'm going to go buy all the colors, and now I'm good for 2 or 3 years. And that's when I tie it into, what your purchase intent mentions say.
Yeah,
I think that's exactly right. I think that's exactly what our data is showing, is that this matched up with an overall trend in the business community in terms of going just slightly more casual, but Lululemon's premium product allowing you to get away with it. And now do you really need a second, pair of pants of the same color? Probably not. That could be part of the slowdown. As for the sponsorship stuff, just real quick, I think what's really hidden is Lululemon does a very, very good job of, I guess you could put quotes around it, sponsoring local athletes in local communities. And so the yoga teachers of the community, those that are teaching cycle bar, all these type of spin class people, they get discounts at Lululemon that are very significant, and they are the kind of the thought leaders of that community. And so I think that different type of tactic than what Nike goes after the big splash is paying off really well for Lululemon.
Yes, they have more of like a brand ambassador focused business model, I believe. But our next tweet is from Jeff Mackey, who has been tweeting nonstop about Lulu. I think he's very excited. He says, Lululemon reports today actually, the options market is pricing in a 10% move, and I'm doing not a damn thing. I expect them to be great, but this is a bad market to not beat Target, Walmart, or Costco. So, okay, this is a company that their direct-to-consumer business has made them completely unstoppable from the Amazon. We saw department stores get just nailed last week or the week before with the Amazon effect, but Lulu is kind of Amazon-proof, would you say? Well,
I mean, yes. Right now, because the demand is, and they're such a hot product, that I think yes. The answer is but stocks are forward-looking, right? And what Andy said, it's run to here. It's gapped on their last earnings and held this level, but they're going to need another impetus to get it to the next level.
Yeah, Andy, I think that ties in exactly with what you said. I mean, I think of Lulu as a company that took advantage of trends. It's executed extremely well. It's tried new things and been successful, but this is really a story of, even if it meets expectations, is that going to be good enough given what the stock price has done? And I think that's kind of what you guys are thinking at LikeFolio too. Is that right?
Yep, that's exactly it. Great company. Maybe the stock's ahead of itself. Jeff Mackey's one of the people that I listen to very closely when it comes to retail brands. I suggest that follow on Twitter. I was talking to him this morning about Lulu. He said, look, this is one of the very few companies that got away with being in the mall because of their premium brand, and that they could actually draw people into their stores, unlike others. And so, great company. Does the stock deserve to be where it's at? We'll find out tomorrow. We're a little skeptical of that, but just make sure you're controlling your risk, because this stock could move in a big way. I think that 10% move is actually at the low end. They've moved more than 10% than that, I believe, in the last earnings announcements since going back to all the way to 2017. So be careful with this one.
Yeah, definitely one that has a history of gapping. But Andy, really great stuff. We got to leave it there. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Cool, thank you.
And Jenny, thank you as well. But before we let you go, what will you and Scott be talking about on Virtual Trade today?
Today we will dive into option statistics. We'll talk about using different option statistics for different strategy selection. We'll use volatility measures on the Thinkorswim platform, and we'll go into selecting different option strategies.
Always step one for me and Kevin
Option stats page.
as we look
Exactly.
at trades. And before we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, we're going to be looking at an example trade in Lululemon. So stick right here on the TD Ameritrade Network. Fast Market will be right back.